Back from Makar. Makar's bothered, and here comes Aho. Here's a chance. Sebastian Aho in. Shorthand back in. Scores! Oh, talk to me, Shorty! Will make a strong move into the Kane zone. Centering attempt up front. Mr. Andersen robs Manson. Now a chance as Makar sends it there, and then 3 whacks at it by Lehkonen, and Andersen keeps it out. Now McKinnon tees it up, and getting a piece is Andersen with the stick. Eastern's pass intercepted by Malinsky right at the center ice line. Now sent in, and they'll score. Jack Drury against his former team goes upstairs, and in a blink, the Avalanche have tied this one at 3.
Hi, everyone. It's the Canes Corner podcast. More fun coming. I am Adam Gold. I am at Lenovo Center. We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it is for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Siding, roofing, windows, entry doors, storm doors, gutter, storm doors, not storm daughters. Apologies. All right, aluminumcompany.com. First of all, a bit of trivia. And in this, it's not, I'm not asking a question. This is just a bit of information, trivial information. This was the first loss as Whalers. Canes came in, I believe 7-0-3, dressed as the Hartford Whalers. This is the first time they had lost a game in these uniforms. Remember, they wore them earlier this year in Denver for a 5-4 shootout win. And they will wear them again later this month against Utah in the official Whalers night. Nobody cares right now, right? All right, so obviously Carolina lost the game 5-3. And the only Colorado goal you heard there, to me, is indicative of where Carolina's problem really is. I know there are a lot of you that hate the referees tonight. I certainly don't think it was a spectacular job by them. But other than the Keandre Miller phantom penalty, all of the other penalties were callable penalties. Jackson Blake's holding the stick, like it's a penalty. I mean, could they have called the initial play by, I believe it was Manson? Could they have called that matching minors? Yeah, they could have called that matching minors. But Blake was holding the stick. It's a penalty. Andrei Svechnikov tripped Brent Burns. Did it have anything to do with anything? No. Was it light? Yeah. Did they have to call it? No. Was it callable? Yes. Carolina led 3-1 at the time. The Nick Ehlers on Devin Taves. We certainly hope Devin Taves is okay. He's a great player. Was that a trip by Ehlers? I thought it was skate to skate, not stick to skate. So I did think it was skate to skate. I think Taves is already losing an edge and going down. But given the position on the ice, it's a very callable penalty. Carolina needs to kill penalties better. Colorado came in with the 29th best power play in the sport. But we all know better when you've got Makar, McKinnon, Nelson, Natchez, and Lehkonen all on the ice. That's a power play goal waiting to happen. I don't care what their percentage was. It's a matter of time. And because Carolina's penalty kill right now isn't very good. And by the way, on the first one, Jordan Staal had the puck on his stick. Looked to me like he might have been exhausted, so he couldn't quite get out to get it. And that's the problem when you don't have Slavin on the ice and you don't get control of the puck to get the puck out of the zone. Staal was on the ice from the time of the initial faceoff until, almost a minute in. So he's kind of at the end of it since you expend a lot of energy killing penalties. So he was tired. He couldn't get out to the puck. got a stick on it, couldn't get it out of the zone. Ultimately, it ends up in your net. But the goal that really hurts, and we're going to get back to this goal a couple of times tonight. The goal that really hurts is the 3-3 goal. That's the goal, that's the killer. Because you've got control of the puck. Alexander Nikishin slides it over to Joel Nyström. He's not pressured. He's deep in his own end, and he tries to make a play up the wall. Forget who he was trying to pass it to. I think it was Will Carrier. Doesn't really matter because it didn't get there. Ross Colton easily steps in front of it. So the first mistake, Nyström turning the puck over at center ice. Now Colton comes in. He's got Jack Drury to the inside channel. Colton's all the way on the wing. Drury is coming up the left center of the ice, and he just feeds the puck forward. Two players for Carolina are there. One of them has to get Drury. It's either Nikishin, who has to come over from the right side of the ice across and get Drury, or, and I think this is the guy whose man it is, Jesperi Kotkaniemi has to stay with Drury because those are the two centers. But it's either Nikishin or Kotkaniemi's man. And neither of them were there. Drury's in so tight. That is not a Freddie Andersen problem, that goal. Could he have saved it? Yes, he could have saved it. It would have been a great save. But yeah, he could have saved it. But that isn't on Freddie. The first goal, of all the goals tonight, maybe the first one, but I don't even think the first one's on Freddie. That's just a great play by Gabriel Landeskog. And before we get into the other elements of today, and we're going to get back to it, Andersen played well. He just lost. The team in front of him fell apart again. For the fifth time in the last 8 games, Carolina blew a 2 or more goal lead. Led 3-0 at Florida. Lost in a shootout. Led 3-0 at Tampa. Lost 6-4. Led 2-0 entering the third period against the Panthers. Lost 5-2. Led 4-2 early in the second period last night, or 2 nights ago, whatever it was, against Montreal. 2 nights ago, Thursday night, New Year's night against Montreal. Lost 7-5. And lost tonight after being ahead 3-1 entering the third. That's 5 times in Carolina's last 8 games. And the Hurricanes are 0-4-1 in those 5 games where they blew at least a 2-goal lead. Twice it was 3 goals. 3 times it was 2 goals. Only once did they get a point out of those games. So all of this soft, fragile, blah, whatever. I'm not engaging the anger. There's an element of truth to it. Because unfortunately for this team, one mistake leads to the next. But really the only true error, and yes, there was a coverage mistake to allow, I guess it was Nelson, to be all alone, but it's a power play. There's the second power play goal, the one that gave Colorado the lead. But I think the Drury goal ended the game. Because that was the error times 3. Nyström, Kotkaniemi, Nikishin. That's the error. I want to play something, and then I'm going to take you into the Wayback Machine. Because there are times where I get, the way Carolina loses angers me. I didn't like the way they lost the first game at Florida. And I believe if they win that game, everything over the next, couple of weeks, 2.5 weeks, everything looks and feels different. And I think it plays out differently. I was angry after that game because I thought that was a self-inflicted game. To me, those were lessons. Lessons in playoff hockey that Florida doled out. Lessons about not a great response physically to what Florida was doing. And also a lesson in how to close out a game. With all of the crap that Florida was doing in that game in Florida. And yes, Slavin gets hurt. A.J. Greer checks him from behind. And Jarvis gets hurt. Didn't have to be in overtime, but you were, and that's when it happens. For all of the stuff, right? Ultimately, it's 2 6-on-5, empty net, extra attacker goals that Florida scores. That does Carolina in. By the way, that's penalty kill stuff. Same thing. Same thing that hurt Carolina tonight. The inability to kill a penalty in the third period kind of is what got them in Florida. But worse than that, it were two sequences where Carolina was looking, oh, man, here's a free goal. Not being able to make the hard play, not being willing to make the hard play. The worst part about that game in Florida, we talked about it at the time, was based on the game, Aho and Svechnikov were awesome. But those were the two guys that made the soft plays. That led to the goal that made it 3-2, and then the goal that tied it up. Now, ironically, those have been Carolina's two best players by a million miles over the last several weeks. And the Hurricanes are going to ride everywhere with 20 and 37. I will criticize them when they deserve it, and Aho has deserved it at times this year, and he's gotten it. Svech the same way. But, man, those two guys are absolutely in top gear right now, and they were both great tonight. Didn't like the Andrei penalty was a factor, unfortunately, in Colorado's comeback. But I want to play this from Nick Ehlers. This is in the locker room after the game, and I don't know if I could disagree with the question or the answer any more than I do.
Can you at least take something from this night that you played? You played at the level with a team that's at the top of the league.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the first two periods, yes, they're too good not to get some chances. Freddie played great tonight. So yeah, absolutely. I think we played really well in the first two periods, and against a team that's as hot as they are, those are the teams you want to play up against. So we can take some stuff, but we got some stuff we got to bring with us as well that we need to clean up.
All right. The answer to that should be from Nick Ehlers. Hell no. We don't take anything from that. The game was even through two periods. Carolina led 3-1, but the game as it was played was an absolutely even game. Canes could have easily been down 3-1 as opposed to being up 3-1. Easily. Aho's goal was brilliant. Finally, the 5-hole play worked. Great goal. Gosh, he was so good tonight. The Svechnikov play, which great finish, under duress, great strength, awesome goal. Aho makes the play. Blocks the Makar shot, and then that pass was freaking awesome. And Nick Ehlers provides the power play goal with a lot of patience late in the power play, middle of the second period. But the notion that we can take something out of this game because you competed with the Colorado Avalanche is loser crap. Loser crap. So here's my story. And I contend that this was the turning point in the franchise. year one of Rod Brindamore. And I don't remember exactly where Carolina was in the standings at this point. I think they were probably still on the outside of the playoffs because I think it was early March. Carolina, you may recall year one of this run where 2 games before New Year's, Carolina was 2 games under NHL 500. They won, I think it was New Year's Eve in Philadelphia, or maybe here against Philadelphia, and then like 2 days later won in Philadelphia, or maybe it was reversed. And they went on this incredible run, won 31 games between just before the new year and the end of the season, made the playoffs on the second to last game of the regular season, all of that. So it was in the middle of that run. It was early March. And they had a 3-1 lead, whatever. Maybe, wouldn't that be ironic? I have to go look at the game. But they were here against Tampa. And Tampa was one of those teams. As a matter of fact, that year, Tampa, I think, won the President's Trophy and then lost in the first round of the playoffs to Columbus. But Tampa was one of those teams that was really coming. And Carolina blew a lead here, and I wasn't doing pregame and postgame. We weren't podcasting at the time, but I was covering the games, and I was in the locker room. And I remember that exact question being asked of Justin Williams. And Justin Williams wanted no part of it. And it showed me that there was a different... That was not going to be tolerated. I'm not going to blame Nick Ehlers. I think that was a product. No, I shouldn't say that because I don't know. I don't know Nick Ehlers enough. I'd be interested to see what the answer would be if that question was asked of Aho or if that question was asked of Stahl. From a standpoint of no Slavin, no Jarvis, maybe you could put that in that context, but that's not the context. Yeah, Colorado's the best team in the freaking league by a million miles. The numbers are staggering. Plus 70 goal differential, now plus 72 in 40 games. That's mind-blowing. They're more than 30 better than the second best team in the league in goal differential. We're not in game 70 yet. It's just game 40 for them. But still, the larger point for me is annoying. It's unacceptable for Carolina to do what they have done in 5 of the last 8 games. Unacceptable to lose this way. Was it 8 or the last 7? I think it's the last 7, not 8. Regardless, let me get back on my rant. Because Williams' answer to the question was, no, it's not acceptable. It's not good enough to prove that we can play with them. This was a game we had to win. And he said, and we pissed it away. And that's what happened tonight. They pissed it away in a little bit of a different way than they have of late. They pissed it away because they couldn't kill a penalty twice. They pissed it away because they gave the puck away for the 3rd goal. And yeah, the 3rd period, Carolina wasn't close to the same team that they were in the first 2 because they were looking for something bad to happen. You can tell by the way they were. Scared is not the right word. To borrow from Mike Krzyzewski, they were knocked back by the 2nd goal. The 3-3 goal, I said this before, I think the 3-3 goal ended the game. Because Carolina didn't have the same aggression after that. Did they play better after the game got to 3-3 until the Ehlers goal, until the Ehlers penalty? Yeah, I think they were better, but they weren't good enough. Did they generate like legitimate scoring chances? I think Aho might have had one scoring chance in the third period. I mean, Colorado still had far more scoring chances in the third. They doubled Carolina up in the third period, and the tying was 3-3. We had the entire period left. I think we had played like 18. There was 18-20 left on the clock, roughly. 18, maybe it was 18-18 when Drury scored. All right, reset, 3-3 game. Let's go. Let's get back to doing what we were doing. Problem is, what you were doing for not most of the 40 minutes, but for a lot of the 40 minutes was also allowing Colorado scoring chances. Because again, through 40 minutes, it was an even game. It was an even game in shot attempts. It was an even game in scoring chances. It was an even game in grade A scoring chances. Freddie was really good tonight. And they wasted it. They couldn't get Frederik Andersen, who needed a win more than anything. They couldn't get him to the barn and let him feel good about his effort. Because now Andersen, who I hope is encouraged by the way he played, because Carolina needs good goaltending from both guys, not just one guy. We're going to find out tomorrow. We're going to find out tomorrow a lot more about Brandon Bussi. I talked to the head coach about it today. We didn't get into it at great length because we'll talk about it tomorrow before the game. Bussi will start, obviously, in New Jersey. And you could tell Rod agreed with my point was, which was this was the first time we had seen Brandon Bussi play poorly against Montreal. I think 3 of the goals probably should have been stopped. Certainly the 6th goal should have been stopped. That's gross. But he gets the grace, and he deserves it, based on his body of work this year. But we'd not seen him have to deal with a bad start and then come back. Because even the loss in Dallas, he played really well. The shootout loss in Florida, I mean, I don't really fault him. Did give up 2 shootout goals, so maybe. But he didn't have to bounce back from those games. And by the way, he did bounce back in terms of playing well and winning. But he didn't play poorly in that game, is my point. Well, he played poorly against Montreal. And now we're going to find out a whole lot more about Brandon Bussi and what Carolina has in that department. Carolina's got 2 major issues. They have more than 2 issues, but they have 2 major ones, and we'll try to get to it here before we slide out of here. But that Nick Ehlers comment bothered me because the Hurricanes are at a point where it's not proving that you can play with Colorado. I might be crazy here, but you beat them already this year. Was I awake for that? So, don't like the question, don't like the answer, because that is a loser. That's a loser. I love Corey. I understand why he's asking a question. You're trying to get comment, well, we played well. But to me, it's a loser mentality. And no, you can miss me with that. I don't want to hear, we played with it, we proved our... No, you didn't. All right. We were going to talk about a whole bunch of other things, but we're not going to have time. So we'll just matter-of-factly say, let's hope 2037, and I don't think it's going to be 27. I think it'll be 24 when he comes back. But all good lines are really pairs. let's hope 20 and 37 are this the rest of the way. Because that's top line stuff. They were better. Aho, Svechnikov, and Ehlers were better than McKinnon, Necas, and Landeskog tonight. They were better. That was best on best. That's encouraging. Freddie Andersen playing well was encouraging tonight. Now, we're going to have to see him do it again. He'll have opportunities, but we're going to have to see him do it again. Bussy tomorrow. Maybe it'll be Freddie against Dallas. Maybe it'll be Bussy. Depends on tomorrow, I think. But encouraging to see Freddie play well. So I think that there are two glaring problems with this team, and they both reared their ugly head tonight. Maybe three. Because goaltending, I said this about a week ago, even if Freddie plays well, and if Bussy continues to play well, Carolina needs another goalie. They need another NHL goalie. Let's not fool ourselves, okay? Let's leave that aside now for right now. They obviously need Slavin back. Because a problem tonight, and a problem that too many fans ignore, is that Alexander Nikishin needs to learn how to defend in the National Hockey League. The second goal against Montreal, that's his problem. He allows the zone entry. Now, you could play it right and still allow the zone entry, but he allowed it freely, and the way he played it made it a problem for everybody else. You can go back and watch the play if you want, but Nikishin, who just retreats into his own end, allowing the zone entry without any resistance at all, makes it a problem for Logan Stankoven. Everybody's scrambling. It's a goal. That was a problem. Tonight, the goal that was the killer was it's either Nikishin or it's Kokoniemi that has to get over and defend Jack Drury. One of them has to do it. Neither of them did. Jack's a good player, man. 7th goal of the season, 3-3, game over. And Carolina tonight played with one good line. The Stahl line was fine, but they played with one good line because, unfortunately, Mark Jankowski isn't a second-line center. And unfortunately, Jesperi Kotkaniemi isn't a second-line center. And my opinion, neither is Logan Stankoven. I think Stankoven is a third-line player. Not even a second-line winger. I think he's a third-line winger. I think he is a good piece to have. But 1 goal in 26 games, he's played well. 1 goal in 26 games, that means something. If that were Martinook, wouldn't matter because he does so many other things. If that were Carrier, wouldn't matter because he does so many other things. But Logan Stankoven, who has not missed a game yet this year, has 6 goals, 17 points, and 1 goal in his last 26 games. The following players all have more goals than Logan Stankoven. Taylor Hall, Jordan Stahl. Jordan Martinook has the same number. Eric Robinson has more goals by 3 than Logan Stankoven. And more points. Stankoven is, 9th on the team in points? Playing in your top 6. Power play time. To me, he's a third-line winger. But he's playing second-line center because Carolina doesn't have a better option. Look, we've been saying this for way more than this year, last year, the year before that. There was a time, I don't know how many people remember this, there was a time where I wasn't sure Vincent Trocheck was good enough to be Carolina's number 2 center. Now, he proved that I was wrong. Vincent Trocheck, I'm not saying the Hurricanes should go trade for Vincent Trocheck. I would do it if you could. Vincent Trocheck would make Carolina so much better, it's not even funny. I've already said we all know the guy I want. I'm not going to bring up his name. We'll be watching him for Sweden in the Olympics. But Carolina cannot expect, without extraordinary circumstances, cannot expect to get to a Stanley Cup final with Jankowski, Kokoniemi, or Stankoven as your second center. Not going to happen. That doesn't mean you can't win 2 rounds of the playoffs, because I think they can. But you're not going to win a conference finals if those are your options at 2C. And if the front office doesn't know that, if they don't realize that, I don't know. But a bona fide 2C, he doesn't have to be a great scorer. Would Philip Deneau have been a good option at 2C? Maybe. Might have been. He's in Montreal, where he actually was before he went to LA. You know, Anthony Cirelli played as its second center for Tampa for a long time. I think he's the second center now. And he's not a great scorer. He scores goals, but he's not a great scorer. He's a great defensive player. You know, that's sort of Jordan Staal. I get it. But you can get away with it as long as you've got 2 good wingers. So tonight, Carolina's second line of Jankowski, Blake, and Hall had 2 good wingers and a 4th or 5th center in between them. Kokoniemi would be a better option than Jankowski. Yes, Jankowski makes fewer mistakes. He does less. It's close. But at least Kokoniemi can play at a little higher level. Unfortunately, things happen like happened on Montreal's first goal, where Kokoniemi makes a soft play with the puck at his own end, and it's a turnover, which leads to the goal. And tonight, where Jack Drury's your guy, and he peeled off on whomever. Number, was it 95? He peeled off on Olofsson. Come on, man. Get with Jack. So, that's my TED Talk. Frustrating loss. Very frustrating loss. Now Carolina's got to get back at it against the Devils Sunday night, 7 o'clock. And we'll be here after it, like we are after every Hurricanes game. You can join us here on the Canes Corner podcast. You can subscribe to it. You can listen to it wherever you get normal podcasts. And we would appreciate a follow and a download and a subscription. That was almost English. Rating, review, all of that. Until tomorrow. We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. For the exterior of your home, aluminumcompany.com. Man, this could have been special tonight. All right. We'll see you tomorrow after the Hurricanes and the Devils. Good night.